Hey there, Dr. Christensen here. I want to talk about egg substitutes. So we've talked before at length about how there are some allergens that you've got and they're just allergens and that's it. And others that are a function of how your body's working, especially your intestinal tract and the local intestinal immunity. And eggs can be either. There are some that have just severe immediate anaphylactic reactions to eggs, and there are many more to where if their gut is not working ideally, eggs can be hard to break down. So in those cases, how do you work around eggs and using them? And I want to talk about using them as in baked goods or so as just full-on egg substitutes, like to scramble them up. And in terms of baked goods, a big concept overall is that baked goods always do involve flour products, and I'm not a big fan of flour on a regular basis. You know, it seems that when an intact grain is fractionated into the microscopic pieces when made into flour, that by itself changes it a lot. That makes it much quicker to absorb, it can act on the flora differently, and it can also change many of the nutrients, especially the fat-soluble nutrients, in the grain itself. So even if you are going gluten-free and using gluten-free flours, please don't make flours the mainstay of your caloric intake. So this baking is really about using for flours for occasional use. And main options we'd think about, a couple to throw out. First one I want to talk about would be tofu. Now, I also want to think about the nutritional status and the implications of these foods. Now, I've talked at length in other articles about soy and soy food and benefits and risks, so please do refer to those to get a sense of whether or not that's a useful thing or just horrible stuff for you you want to avoid like the plague. As far as an egg substitute, silken tofu can kind of replace eggs for scrambled eggs. Now, you've got to flavor it. And think about like soy sauce or salt and pepper. You know, some turmeric or curry powders can be useful in that. But done properly and then added also with some garlic or some scallions and sauteed in some oil, you can get something that decently approximates kind of a scrambled egg. Can work in baking also, doesn't quite have the same binding properties that these others have. So think of it more so as a substitute for making scrambled eggs and, you know, not the top choice. If you are vegan and there's not a lot of other protein foods in the diet, probably a better option and just something else to throw in there, an easy way to use that. Now for baking, you can also do baking powder and oil. So pretty simply just that. And recipes will talk about ratios and varieties. Many things that will come out pretty decent, things that are baked as opposed to heated on direct surfaces. So if you're making muffins or whatnot, or cornbreads, you can get away with that coming out a bit closer. More baking options, applesauce can be a good one too. And this is pretty decent for muffins. Obviously you can't make scrambled eggs out of applesauce. In terms of nutrients, we're not really getting protein out of this. We'll get some fiber, but it's more of a carb food. And there's going to be a real pronounced apple flavor, obviously. So that's a consideration when you're making it too. Along those same lines, bananas can also be used. Nutritionally, carbohydrates, some fiber, no real big protein, but can be effective for baking. And nice because no real big allergy issues. Now, on the other hand, if you do not have egg sensitivities, bananas plus egg white or egg can be the world's easiest pancake. You can even do some rolled oats in that. You know, you want to look for the gluten-free because rolled oats can be processed on machines that processed wheat. So oats don't have wheat or have gluten, but based on how they're processed, they might. So one of my favorite pancakes, so to speak, is to take ripe bananas and egg whites and rolled oats and just stir those up. Make them into little cakes, saute them gently on your pan, and really good. But we're avoiding eggs. So banana is also an option for baking. Basically, you would use those in the same volume. You would use the volume of egg. And same thing for applesauce. But also just knowing you're going to get the flavor out of the deal. Another really good option is flax seeds. Now, flax seeds work best when they've been soaked a little bit because, well, they have mucilaginous compounds. The derogatory way of saying that is they get slimy. But that sliminess gives a good binding texture. And that same mucilaginous is great for the intestinal tract, you know, soothing irritated upper intestinal tract, helping leaky gut issues, and nice source of fiber, also a good source of essential fats. So no big protein content like eggs have, but nice for those versions. And think about the volume replacement for eggs and more so for baking. We've also got a product called Egg Replacer. And this is basically a fiber. It's mostly a potato starch product. It's also got little bits of baking powder in that and other fibers. So natural thing, it's clean. For baking, comes out reasonably well. It does give some similar binding properties. Obviously not for scrambling, but this is non-allergenic and free of all the common other non-egg allergens. So along those lines, last two are probably a couple of my favorites. So one is called Aqua Faba. And faba is referring to beans, like Fabinaceae, the family we find them in, Legumiaceae. And aqua, just water. So this is the water from beans. And a lot of ways you can make this by soaking beans, taking the water. One of the easiest things is just taking canned beans, and when you open them, draining the liquid off of that. So aquafaba is a great thing for lots of nice polysaccharides, some good resistant starch as well, and really helpful in terms of the binding and the coagulating properties for baking. There's even some recipes in which people have made meringues out of aquafaba. So you can do a lot with that. The meringue is like exacting handling and temperatures, but you can make good things out of it, and very neutral taste. You know, really more of a texture, but no real flavor onto itself. So this is not for scrambled eggs. This is more so a baking thing again. And last up is a newer product called Vegan Egg. Now this is cute because it comes in little cartons and it comes in small containers and it looks like liquid egg. It's made from algae, so that's going to be more so a plant-based, seed-based compound, and there's some quality protein in that, a few other nutrients, and for scrambling, it's the closest by far to what a scrambled egg would be like. So same thing, if you even season it up mildly, it'll have a great texture and more protein content than the tofu would. And you can even get by pretty well with just salt and pepper. You wouldn't need to hide it as much. And baking works great. You know, pretty easy replacement, direct replacement for that. A little less fat than whole egg, mostly just pure protein, but similar color and really good flavor. Probably the least cost effective of all these and the hardest one to come across. It's not in all the health food stores just yet, but by far the most exact replacement. So that's it. Easy ways to work around the eggs. And hopefully, again, look at the intestinal health. You know, look at things like the GI reset to heal the gut lining. And 3 to 6 months, you may find yourself more tolerant of eggs again. And big picture, I'd rather see you have a larger variety of healthy foods rather than smaller. Take great care. We'll talk again really soon. Bye-bye.